So it's week 5 in the Barclays Premier League. It got started on Saturday. Lunchtime kickoff was at Anfield. Liverpool at home to Newcastle. Henderson was on the bench with Milner, as was Firmino, who'd come back pretty late from an appointment with Brazil in Los Angeles. Oxlade-Chamberlain was on from the start. Newcastle, much the same team as they had with Atso up front with Joe Linton. Liverpool haven't lost at home for almost 2.5 years, and the current run of wins and draws and losses is 21 without loss. That's in all competitions, home and away. So on the face of it, Bruce has a pretty difficult task ahead of him. However, you wouldn't have thought so, because after 6 minutes, first really meaningful attack from Newcastle, and the ball was hurried out to the left with Williams, and he came in from the left flank into the box, got the ball onto his right foot on the edge of the area and whipped in a fantastic effort which hit the roof of Adrian's net, and all of a sudden the Magpies were 1-up. 11 minutes, Oxlade-Chamberlain got a snapshot in, went just wide. He was looking good, considering that long time out with injury. Williams again was proving a bit of a handful on the left for Alexander-Arnold. He delivered a nice nice pass into the box, but the Liverpool challenge was sufficient to clear it. And then an audacious effort from Shelvey from 45 metres with the keeper off his line, but it went closer to the corner flag than the goal. A couple of teasing crosses from Robertson and Arnold were coming in now more frequently, and the second of Robertson's efforts found Origi, and his header just went wide. But definitely the pressure was mounting after 25 minutes with Liverpool dominating things. And there was a challenge in the area on Matip. Howes of a penalty waved away. But finally on 27 minutes, another movement down the left, and Robertson managed to feed Mane, who, as he does so often, creates a yard of space on the edge of the box and hit a shot across the face of the goal, and it went in the top corner, and the man from Senegal had equalised. That was his 5th of the season, and we were level at 1-1. Liverpool were now thoroughly in charge of the game, and Newcastle's defence was struggling. They were getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and when they cleared the ball, it just came straight back. 35 minutes though, Origi's ankle started flaring up, and he was replaced by Firmino, probably earlier than Klopp had expected, but a few minutes later, a great pass by Firmino into space in the box. Mane ran onto it. He got there just ahead of Dubravka. His shot sort of cannoned off the keeper and rolled into the net. It was definitely a goalkeeper's error. He should have really got there before Mane and cleared it away, but it cannoned off Mane and went in. So that was 2-1 for Liverpool. It stayed that way until the break, but second half it was really just the Liverpool show. They don't get beat when they're ahead at half time, and they started playing that delightful, neat, interlinking football. Robertson had a chance when he was put through by, and then a little later he provided for Wijnaldum, whose lob volley just went inches wide of the upright. On 54 minutes, a rare break by Newcastle. Atsu managed to get to the corner flag, but his cross went to Kraft with a golden opportunity, but he blasted it high and wide. Newcastle's defence, as I say, really under pressure. Arnold had an effort which was blocked by Dubravka, and another attack down the left set up Van Dijk, set up Robertson outside the area, but his effort was deflected for a corner. And then finally on 71 minutes, Liverpool deservedly got their third, and what a delightful goal it was. Coming in from the right, Salah interlinked with Firmino. He had a couple of audacious touches, flicking the second into the path of the Egyptian, who then ran into space in the penalty box and steered it neatly past Dubravka into the corner. And a sublime goal it was, and Liverpool were 3-1 up. Game over, really. Firmino, pure class, and he's putting in these performances week in, week out now. Well, that was about it, really. Dubravka stood firm to block Arnold late on, and Mane had a chance on a hat-trick, but it was chalked off because Firmino laid it on, was offside. So we got to the final whistle, and comfortable win for the league leaders ahead of their Champions League match away in Napoli on Tuesday. Final score then, Liverpool 3, Newcastle 1. So to Old Trafford then, Manchester United at home to Leicester. Team news, no Paul Pogba, he was injured. Matic came in for him. Young continuing at left back with no Shaw. Martial still out. Rashford up front. Mata in the starting lineup. For Leicester, Gray was recalled. Albrighton on the bench. Let's get into the action then. Of course, Maguire playing against his old club was a particular interest for many viewing this game. Young started great. He managed to feed young James early on, who loves cutting in from the touchline, and he often gets brought down, and he was again just outside the box on the left edge. Pereira's free kick was a beauty, heading for the top corner, but Schmeichel was equal to it. But for his efforts, he collided with the post and took a while to recover. But anyway, no goal. He did punt the ball downfield, however, and the bouncing ball caused chaos for the defenders, Maguire and Lindelof. And Maddison managed to take advantage of this and got a snapshot in, which brought a terrific save from De Gea. And this was all in the first 5 minutes. 8 minutes then, another attack by United. The ball was put into space on the right edge of the box. I think it was Pereira that got to it and sent it back across the area. Rashford running in with Soyuncu. He got there just a fraction ahead of the Leicester defender, who then decided that he couldn't avoid bringing him down, and the referee pointed to the penalty spot. Well, United have had some issues on taking penalties this season. Rashford scored one, missed one, but he stepped up cool as a cucumber and placed it in the corner, and the Devils were 1 up. I must admit, at that particular point, they were probably good value. After that, got to minute 24, a speculative shot from Chilwell forced De Gea to tip over. and there's some more goal attempts, a couple for each side before we got to the break. Anyway, at the break, of course, 1-0 to the Red Devils. After the break, there was some early pressure. James, looking lively as usual, whipped a shot just over the bar. And Mata also warmed Michael's palms. Rashford had a free kick 30 yards out. What a tremendous effort it was as it hit the woodwork with Schmeichel completely stranded. But after that, things sort of faded away. Leicester really lacked punch. Maguire and Lindelof kept Vardy in their pockets. Vardy hardly got a touch the whole match. And Man United managed to edge their way to a 1-0 win fairly comfortably. Not the greatest performance by Man United, but certainly will help their confidence. They're now up to 5th. Final score, Man United 1, Leicester 0. So to Bramall Lane, Sheffield United at home to Southampton. The last two competitive fixtures between these clubs, last one was in the Championship and the last in the Premier League, both finished goalless. So it was with some trepidation that I sat down to watch the highlights of this match. However, it was a bright start, and Adams hit a post early on for Southampton, and he was looking very sharp. Good response from the Blades, though. McGrildrick's shot forced a block from the keeper. We got to 26 minutes, and Ward-Prowse found Adams again, and his header forced a really good save to keep the match scoreless, and that was the state of play at the break. Shortly after the second half had started, McBurney converted a free kick which was whipped across the box, but VAR chalked it off because another Sheffield United player had strayed offside in front of McBurney, and he was certainly interfering with play. So it remained 0-0. And then on 66 minutes, it looked like we might be heading for another goalless draw, but then a piece of absolute magic from Djenepo, who managed to dribble his way through past 2 or 3 defenders across the box, made a yard of space after this great run, and then put the ball in the corner wide of the keeper. It was definitely a gem of an effort, and so 1-0 to Southampton. After that, the Blades tried hard. They had a lot of effort. In fact, too much at one stage. After sending on their goal scorer Billy Sharp, he managed to get red carded for a challenge that was a little nasty. Didn't deserve a red, but he went off, so they were down to 10. Unfortunate for Wiley. Chris Wilder. He was pragmatic in interview and basically said, "We're just not converting our chances." So the final score was Sheffield United 0, Southampton 1. Wolves at home to Chelsea. It was Nuno Espirito Santos' 300th game as a manager. Chelsea reverted to a back 3, and Wolves rotating far more this season because of their Europa Cup exploits. They've used more players in 5 games than they previously did in 15 last season. So it certainly reflects the demands of playing in Europe. Early on, not much to report, but just before the half hour, Chelsea ratcheted it up a notch or 2, and they managed to score 2 goals in a matter of minutes. First, Tomero swept in a ball neatly to open the scoring, surprising for Patricio, And then 3 minutes later, Abraham's, he also got his first after the ref played an advantage. And all of a sudden, Chelsea were in complete control, 2 up. And Abraham, probably his best goal on 41 minutes following a neat team move. He climbed head and shoulders above the defender to head the ball in the corner, and it was 3-0 to Chelsea at the break. The Wolverhampton faithful were stunned, to be frank, and on 55 minutes Abraham got his hat-trick goal when he outfoxed Cody running into the box, and then after getting some space hit the corner of the goal, and that was 4-0. After that, basically Wolves sort of woke up, and they managed to get an own goal courtesy of Abraham on 69 minutes, and Catrona also managed to make it 4-2. But it didn't make a great deal of effect on the game, because in added time, Mason Mount capped a great day by getting Chelsea's 5th. Lampard was absolutely delighted, and this young side are getting better and better. It's certainly a promising look now to this Chelsea side, and I'm sure they're going to have a good season. So the final score, somewhat surprisingly, Wolves 2, Chelsea 5. So the final game on Saturday afternoon, the late kick-off, was at Carrow Road. Norwich City at home to Manchester City. Norwich had equipped themselves very well against Chelsea, albeit on the end of a 3-2 loss. But what could they do against the high-flying champions? Well, the first thing was that they were without 8 of their regulars, sidelined through injury. So there was a lot of squad players in the starting lineup, and the question was, could they handle it? City, well, Stones was in for Laporte, who's going to be out until the new year. Gundogan and Silva were in for Mahrez and De Bruyne. I didn't see a lot of highlights of this, I must admit, on the BBC programme, Match of the Day. So my comments are going to be limited as well, because it's far too late for me to watch this game live. But the early part of the first half was dominated by City, but it was Norwich on 18 minutes that went ahead when McLean handed in from a corner at the near post. The marking looked pretty shoddy, but Norwich weren't complaining, they were 1 up. And then at 28 minutes, another counter-attack by the Canaries, and this time Pukki on the right managed to get his cross to the far post, and Cantwell was there to steer it home, and all of a sudden the Canaries were 2 up against the champions. Certainly Guardiola looked a bit shell-shocked on the sidelines. Typical response from City, they just continued playing the enterprising football. Sterling went close, he hit a post, and then just as the half-time whistle was upon us, Aguero managed to get his goal, and he was sniffing on the 6-yard box, and he managed to connect. And so City had probably rather luckily go in just the one behind at 2-1. But really, although they had dominated possession, the chances were really limited, and Krul had hardly had a lot to do. Into the second half then, and City's defence again found wanting. Stones, first of all, very hesitant, and Pukki managed to get the ball from him, but his effort was a little bit tame. On minute 50, however, Another dreadful defensive error by Otamendi, and Pukki didn't miss around this time, being set up, and he prodded the ball into the net. City were 3-1 down, and Norwich fully deserved it. After that, again, the pattern developed with possession for City, but not a lot of real clear-cut chances. Although on 88 minutes, an Otamendi effort forced Kroll to tip over. That then quickly, Rodri pulled one back from for City on minute 89. And all of a sudden, it looked like they might well grab a point. But as it was, a couple of efforts with Krul showing his worth, and the final whistle arrived, and Farke had delivered. The Norwich faithful were absolutely delighted. They'd beaten the champions by 3-2. So that completes 5 matches that were played on Saturday. There were 2 more, but I'm going to include those in the second show, which will also include the 2 Sunday games and the game on Monday night. So sorry, you Spurs fans. You'll have to wait to hear my report tomorrow. But anyway, that completes part 1 of week 5 of this results show.